Hello, welcome to the Bank Holiday podcast of Andy Collier-talks cricket memorabilia. Today I'm going to talk to you about letters. I won't be doing all of the letters all in one go because the last one I did on the menus ran out of time on the video. So what I'll do is I'll stagger these ones, I think, rather than rushing them like I did the menus. I can't talk about things too much, so that's where we'll start. So there might be a couple of these, but as you know, over the years you collect things and you don't realise how many you have when you look through them. But one thing about the letters that people do collect, obviously the information in them, that players corresponded with people, and also you get their genuine signature at the end of it. So that's one of the reasons, or another reason, that people collect the letters. So I'll start with my first one, my earliest one, which is addressed to Victor Trumper. And this is from St Patrick's Cathedral in Melbourne in 1913. Now this chap's written to, I don't know whether he was a vicar or whatever he was at this place, but he's written to Victor Trumper apologising for not meeting up with him at a certain match, and then also thanking him for getting some tickets. So that's quite a nice letter there from 1913 to Victor Trumper. I still can't quite work out the chap's name. I did contact the St Patrick's Cathedral, but they didn't respond, so I'm no further forward on the name. But it's a bit like Sir Fan or something like that. But quite a nice little letter there, 1913. Another letter here is from George Hurst in 1947. It's got Dear Jack on there. This is concerning all sorts of things on this one, but it's so that Dear Jack could well be Jack Hodge, but I don't know that for sure. But there again, there's a nice George Hurst signature on the bottom there, so that's quite a nice letter there. Nice handwriting as well. I've got a couple here. This one is Mandy Gatuma, or Gantume, whatever you like to call him. This is for Don Wigan, who was a big collector. He was selling some of his stuff off, so I bought a nice one there. This is only signed Andy at the bottom of this one, but there's a lot of information there, including talking about Brian Lara and all sorts of things that come up with cricket. That's quite an interesting letter once you get it. Once you decipher, because some of the letters can be handwriting can be quite tricky to read, but quite a nice letter. And then we'll stick on the West Indies front there with a couple from Brian Davis. This is a Christmas card to Don Wigan, signed Brian there, and I met Brian in the West Indies when I played at the Trinidad Oval a couple of times. He was groundsman at the time, so it's quite a poignant one for me. But there's another letter there, all sorts of things involved in this letter, again going on to things, what he's doing, where he's going, and hoping to meet up with him and when he goes over on tour. And now the next one, which is my latest letter actually, which is from John Reed. Now believe it or not, here he is thanking the chap for his letter, who actually is Mr. Reed, and he's reminding him that he had a giraffe named after him at London Zoo. So quite an interesting thing. I never knew he had a giraffe named after him. But anyway, he was apologising for not being able to meet up with him. But again, it's got a nice signature of John Reed at the bottom there. So that's quite a nice letter. And this one here, this one's from Simon Cook. This one, well, Simon Cook, the Australian opening fast bowler who replaced Glenn McGrath and took 5 for on his debut. Now, Simon came over to play at the end of his career for Leamington down on the coast here. And he was an electrician, I'm an electrician, and he worked for me for a while, so got to know Simon quite well. So that's quite a nice letter from him, and a nice reference from me. And this is one of the most interesting letters I've got. This comes from Alec Bedser, and it says it's written it to Jack Simmons, the Lancashire man, and it's giving notice. I notice that James Anderson lands his left leg to deliver the ball. His left foot splays out I think it puts a strain on his knee, and more importantly it causes him to fall away at the point of delivery. So this letter here is trying to give him some indication of how to straighten up his action. Number 2 point is, if James could look longer at the batsman instead of dropping his head, it would help balance, etc. To me, a straight leg is important at the moment of delivery. And 4, I think many today are obsessed with pace and more pace. From my experience, straining for pace loses rhythm and one becomes too tense, result loss of movement. So that was a letter sent up to help James Anderson with his action when he first came onto the scene. And Jack wrote back to Alec. This is a letter here. Many thanks. It's October 2003, and it's thanking Alec for his points made on James Anderson action, and he will pass it on to Mike Watkinson, the coach at Lancashire. So that's quite an interesting little couple of letters there. Also, when I bought that stuff from the Bedser twins, or Alec Bedser, there's a letter there from Keith Miller, which is, it says, "To the great Bedsers, I really mean great. You have two truly outstanding men in every respect, not only cricket but in everyday life. From the war days when we first met, neither of you have changed a little bit." So that's quite a nice letter there from Keith Miller to Alex and Eric Bedser. Now I'll just do couple more. This one's to Mr. Louse, the Hotel Windsor in Melbourne, 1955. This is from Alec and Eric, which is signed on the back there, thanking them for his hospitality when they stayed in Australia. That's quite a nice letter. Just a nice thank you letter there. I've just got this one more here. This is actually a photocopy because there's Alex Stewart there, signed card of Alex Stewart. This chap, Mr. Beastle, wrote to Alec, thanking him for his performances and what have you. And on the back of the original letter, he asked to sign by the England team and send it back in the stamped addressed envelope. So that's obviously what he did, because this is the photocopy. This is what came with Alex Stewart's back when I bought that. So that's quite a nice little letter there. And we'll do one more, or two more, shall we? Because I've got two here from Douglas Jardine. This is when he was organising in 1950 something, rather, 55 or something. He was organising the what was he organising? The writers' match in London. So that's a nice letter there. 2 pages to that one. This is says to Dear Day, which is he's a author, the author's game. So there's a nice one there, signed by Douglas Jardine. There's another one here, so the same bloke. It's Harvey Day is the bloke's name. There's another nice signed one there by Douglas Jardine. This is again inviting him to the match to play for the Authors 11, and it says about it's a nice Westminster School, that's where the match is, and it's encouraging him to come along with a lady friend because it attracts quite a few ladies. So interesting letters there from Douglas Jardine. So I'm going to stop there now because there's a few more to go, so we'll cut off now and do another one another day. So I hope you enjoy this one when you get to see it. See you on the next one.